Welcome, dear viewers, to an extraordinary tale of kindness and resilience, a tale that transcends time and space, teaching us lessons of humility, patience, and the power of a pure heart. Today we embark on a journey through the life of a remarkable young maiden known to many as Cinderella. Her story, steeped in sorrow and hardship, is a testament to the strength of character and the indomitable spirit of goodness. As we traverse through the chapters of her life, we invite you to immerse yourselves in her world, feel her sorrow, her hope, and her unwavering faith. We hope you find inspiration in her courage, learn from her virtues, and understand the power of kindness in the face of adversity. So sit back, relax, and let us delve into the enchanting world of Cinderella as we begin with her earliest trials and tribulations. Welcome to the dawn of our tale. In a land where hearts were often put to the test, there lived a young maiden of exceptional kindness. Her pure and tender heart shone as a beacon of love in a world that was frequently unkind. Her life, however, was not always kind to her. Her mother, a woman of grace and virtue, fell seriously ill. On her deathbed, she beckoned her only child, her eyes brimming with sorrowful affection. With a voice as soft as the evening zephyr, she uttered her final request to her daughter: "Remain pious, good and kind, my precious one, for the Lord will always be your shield." As the sun dipped below the horizon, marking the end of her mother exhaled her final breath. The world seemed to halt for a brief moment, and the girl's heart fragmented into 1,000 shards. Every passing day she would visit her mother's grave, her tears nourishing the earth where her mother rested, her sorrow echoing through the silent atmosphere. She wept and remained pious and good, just as her mother had asked her to. A year drifted by, and life ushered in another. Her father, a wealthy gentleman, remarried. His new spouse was a woman with 2 daughters, beautiful in appearance but wicked and cruel at heart. They may have had faces as beautiful as a spring day, but their souls were as dark and cold as the winter snow. Her stepsisters, driven by jealousy of the girl's kindness and grace, robbed her of her fine garments and jewels, leaving with an old grey smock and wooden shoes. They banished her to the kitchen, mocking her with the name Aschenputtel, or Cinderella, which translates to ash fool. She was made to work hard from dawn till dusk, her hands becoming rough from the labour, her spirit taunted by her stepsister's cruel ridicule. But even amidst such harsh treatment, Cinderella remained as she always was, kind, pious, and good. She bore her burdens without a murmur of complaint, her strength steadfast, her spirit defiant. She sought solace at her mother's grave, praying for better days ahead, her cries being whisked away by the wind. Amidst the ashes and mockery, her spirit remained undefeated, her kindness unwavering, for she knew in the face of cruelty the most potent weapon was a heart filled with kindness. Before embarking on his journey to the fair, the girl's father turned to his daughters, inquiring about the gifts they desired. The stepsisters, their hearts brimming with greed, asked for luxuries that were unparalleled. The eldest demanded stunning dresses, while the younger lusted after pearls and diamonds. Their wishes were excessive, mirroring their vanity and materialistic cravings. But Cinderella, kind and humble, requested for something far more simple. She asked for the first twig that brushes against her father's hat on his way home, and so her father, upon returning from the fair, fulfilled all their wishes. He passed on to his daughters their requested gifts. For Cinderella, he brought a simple hazel twig. It was not adorned with diamonds, nor was it spun from silk. It was a mere twig, but to her, it was a treasure. Holding the hazel twig, Cinderella journeyed to her mother's grave. There she planted the twig, watering it with her tears, a symbol of her love and longing for her mother. Days stretched into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years, and during this time, nurtured by Cinderella's tears and the warmth of her heart, the twig flourished. It blossomed into a radiant hazel tree, its glow a testament to Cinderella's unwavering kindness and determination. Under the umbrella of the hazel tree, Cinderella found comfort and solace. It served as a sanctuary against the cruelty of her stepsisters. As she knelt under the tree, praying thrice a day, a white bird would visit. This bird was a silent companion, a beacon of hope amidst Cinderella's sorrow. To this bird, Cinderella whispered her wishes, her dreams, her hopes, and every time the bird would throw down to her what she had wished for. It was as if the bird understood Cinderella, as if it knew her heart's deepest desires. It was a silent pact, a promise between Cinderella and the bird, an assurance of brighter days. Under the glow of the hazel tree, Cinderella discovered solace and hope, and from the tree emerged a white bird, a silent promise of better days. Now it happened that the king proclaimed a festival that was to last 3 days. All the beautiful young girls in the land were invited, so that his son could select a bride for himself. When the 2 stepsisters heard that they too had been invited, they were in high spirits. They called Cinderella, saying, "Comb our hair for us, brush our shoes and fasten our buckles. We're going to the festival at the king's castle." Cinderella obeyed but wept, because she too would have liked to go to the dance with them. She begged her stepmother to allow her to go. "You, Cinderella," she said, "you, all covered with dust and dirt, and you want to go to the festival. You have neither clothes nor shoes, and yet you want to dance." However, because Cinderella kept asking, the stepmother finally said, "I have scattered a bowl of lentils into the ashes for you. If you can pick them out again in 2 hours, then you may go with us." The girl went through the back door into the garden and called out, "You tame pigeons, you turtle doves, and all you birds beneath the sky, come and help me to gather. The good ones go into the pot, the bad ones go into your crop." 2 white pigeons came in through the kitchen window, and then the turtle doves, and finally all the birds beneath the sky came whirring and swarming in and lit around the ashes. The pigeons nodded their heads and began to pick, 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 and the others also began to pick, 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 pick. They gathered all the good grains into the bowl. Hardly 1 hour had passed before they were finished, and they all flew out again. The girl took the bowl to her stepmother and was happy, thinking that now she would be allowed to go to the festival with them. But the stepmother said, "No, Cinderella, you have no clothes and you don't know how to dance. Everyone would only laugh at you." Cinderella began to cry, and then the stepmother said, "You may go if you are able to pick 2 bowls of lentils out of the ashes for me in 1 hour," thinking to herself, "She will never be able to do that." The girl went through the back door into the garden and called out, "You tame pigeons, you turtle doves, and all you birds beneath the sky, come and help me to gather. The good ones go into the pot, the bad ones go into your crop." 2 white pigeons came in through the kitchen window, and then the turtle doves, and finally all the birds beneath the sky came whirring and swarming in and lit around the ashes. The pigeons nodded their heads and began to pick, 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 and the others also began to pick, 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 pick. They gathered all the good grains into the bowls. Before a half hour had passed, they were finished, and they all flew out again. The girl took the bowls to her stepmother and was happy, thinking that now she would be allowed to go to the festival with them. But the stepmother said, "It's no use. You're not coming with us, for you have no clothes and you don't know how to dance. We would be ashamed of you." With this, she turned her back on Cinderella and hurried away with her 2 proud daughters. Now that no one else was at home, Cinderella went to her mother's grave beneath the hazel tree and cried out, "Shake and quiver, little tree, throw gold and silver down to me." Then the bird threw a gold and silver dress down to her, and slippers embroidered with silk and silver. She quickly put on the dress and went to the festival. Her stepsisters and her stepmother did not recognize her. They thought she must be a foreign princess, for she looked so beautiful in the golden dress. They never once thought it was Cinderella, for they thought that she was sitting at home in the dirt looking for lentils in the ashes. The prince approached her, took her by the hand, and danced with her. Furthermore, he would dance with no one else. He never let go of her hand, and whenever anyone else came and asked her to dance, he would say, "She is my dance partner." She danced until evening, and then she wanted to go home. But the prince said, "I will go along and escort you," for he wanted to see to whom the beautiful girl belonged. However, she eluded him and jumped into the pigeon coop. The prince waited until her father came, and then he told him that the unknown girl had jumped into the pigeon coop. The old man thought, could it be Cinderella? He had them bring him an axe and a pick so that he could break the pigeon coop apart, but no one was inside. When they got home, Cinderella was lying in the ashes, dressed in her dirty clothes. A dim little oil lamp was burning in the fireplace. Cinderella had quickly jumped down from the back of the pigeon coop and had run to the hazel tree. There she had taken off her beautiful clothes and laid them on the grave, and the bird had taken them away again. Then, dressed in her grey smock, she had returned to the ashes in the kitchen. The next day, when the festival began anew, and her parents and her stepsisters had gone again, Cinderella went to the hazel tree and said, "Shake and quiver, little tree, throw gold and silver down to me." Then the bird threw down an even more magnificent dress than on the preceding day. When Cinderella appeared at the festival in this dress, everyone was astonished at her beauty. The prince had waited until she came, then immediately took her by the hand and danced only with her. When others came and asked her to dance with them, he said, "She is my dance partner." When evening came, she wanted to leave, and the prince followed her, wanting to see into which house she went. But she ran away from him and into the garden behind the house. A beautiful tall tree stood there, on which hung the most magnificent pears. She climbed as nimbly as a squirrel into the branches, and the prince did not know where she had gone. He waited until her father came, then said to him, "The unknown girl has eluded me, and I believe she has climbed up the pear tree." The father thought, could it be Cinderella? He had an axe brought to him and cut down the tree, but no one was in it. When they came to the kitchen, Cinderella was lying there in the ashes as usual, for she had jumped down from the other side of the tree, had taken the beautiful dress back to the bird in the hazel tree, and had put on her grey smock. On the third day, when her parents and sisters had gone away, Cinderella went again to her mother's grave and said to the tree, "Shake and quiver, little tree, throw gold and silver down to me." This time the bird threw down to her a dress that was more splendid and magnificent than any she had yet had, and the slippers were of pure gold. When she arrived at the festival in this dress, everyone was so astonished that they did not know what to say. The prince danced only with her, and whenever anyone else asked her to dance, he would say, "She is my dance partner." When evening came, Cinderella wanted to leave, and the prince tried to escort her, but she ran away from him so quickly that he could not follow her. The prince, however, had set a trap. He had had the entire stairway smeared with pitch. When she ran down the stairs, her left slipper stuck in the pitch. The prince picked it up. It was small and dainty and of pure gold. The next morning he went with it to the man and said to him, "No one shall be my wife except for the one whose foot fits this golden shoe." The two sisters were happy to hear this, for they had pretty feet. With her mother standing by, the older one took the shoe into her bedroom to try it on. She could not get her big toe into it, for the shoe was too small for her. Then her mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut off your toe. When you are queen, you will no longer have to go on foot." The girl cut off her toe, forced her foot into the shoe, swallowed the pain, and went out to the prince. He took her on his horse as his bride and rode away with her. However, they had to ride past the grave, and there, on the hazel tree, sat the two pigeons crying out, "Rook-de-goo! Rook-de-goo! There's blood in the shoe is too tight, this bride is not right." Then he looked at her foot and saw how the blood was running from it. He turned his horse around and took the false bride home again, saying that she was not the right one, and that the other sister should try on the shoe. She went into her bedroom and got her toes into the shoe all right, but her heel was too large. Then her mother gave her a knife and said, "Cut a piece off your heel. When you are queen, you will no longer have to go on foot." The girl cut a piece off her heel, forced her foot into the shoe, swallowed the pain, and went out to the prince. He took her on his horse as his bride and rode away with her. When they passed the hazel tree, the two pigeons were sitting in it, and they cried out, "Rook-de-goo! Rook-de-goo! There's blood in the shoe is too tight, this bride is not right." He looked down at her foot and saw how the blood was running out of her shoe, and how it had stained her white stocking all red. Then he turned his horse around and took the false bride home again. "This is not the right one either," he said. "Don't you have another daughter?" "No," said the man. "There is only a deformed little Cinderella from my first wife, but she cannot possibly be the bride." The prince told him to send her to him, but the mother answered, "Oh no, she is much too dirty, she cannot be seen." But the prince insisted on it, and they had to call Cinderella. She first washed her hands and face clean, and then went and bowed down before the prince, who gave her the golden shoe. She sat down on a stool, pulled her foot out of the heavy wooden shoe, and put it into the slipper, and it fitted her perfectly. When she stood up, the prince looked into her face, and he recognized the beautiful girl who had danced with him. He cried out, "She is my true bride." The stepmother and the two sisters were horrified and turned pale with anger. The prince, however, took Cinderella onto his horse and rode away with her. As they passed by the hazel tree, the two white pigeons cried out, "Rook-de-goo, rook-de-goo, no blood's in the shoe's not too tight, this bride is right." After they had cried this out, they both flew down and lit on Cinderella's shoulders, one on the right, the other on the left, and remained sitting there. When the wedding with the prince was to be held, the two false sisters came, wanting to gain favour with Cinderella and to share her good fortune. When the bridal couple walked into the church, the older sister walked on their right side and the younger on their left side, and the pigeons pecked out one eye from each of them. Afterwards, as they came out of the church, the older one was on the left side and the younger one on the right side, and then the pigeons pecked out the other eye from each of them. And thus, for their wickedness and falsehood, they were punished with blindness as long as they lived. And so we learn from Cinderella's tale that kindness, humility and patience are virtues that always triumph. They are the true riches that we must strive to possess, more valuable than any crown or treasure. Kindness and humility, they are the cornerstones of our character, the essence of our souls. They define us, shape us and make us who we are. They are the values that we must hold dear, the virtues that we must cherish and nurture. Next, we come to patience and perseverance. Life is filled with challenges and obstacles, but it is through patience and perseverance that we can overcome them. Just like Cinderella, who faced adversity with grace and courage, we must also learn to face our challenges with patience, to persevere even when the odds are against us. And finally, we learn about the downfall of wickedness and deceit. The stepsisters, with their wicked hearts and deceitful ways, met their downfall. Their wickedness led them to their doom, serving as a stark reminder that wickedness and deceit always face their downfall. So let us remember these lessons. Let us strive to embody these virtues in our lives. Let us strive to be kind, to be humble, to be patient and to persevere. Remember, it's not the riches or the crowns that matter, but the kindness in our hearts, the humility in our actions, and the patience and perseverance in our souls. These are the true riches, the true treasures. These are the virtues that define us, the virtues that lead us to our happily ever after.